You ever get that awful, clammy grip of fear, even when, logically, everything should be totally fine? We usually think anxiety is this big battle of thoughts we have to fight in our heads. But what if the real source of our fear isn't the thought itself? What if it's something way more basic? So let's dive into this really powerful idea, how the simple act of where we choose to look can either trap us in fear or completely set us free. This quote, it just nails the whole idea we're exploring today, doesn't it? It suggests that fear's power might just be a total illusion, one that poofs into thin air the second we look at it from a different angle. It really sets the stage for a huge shift in how we can deal with what's going on inside. All right, so first up, let's challenge a really common assumption about where that knot in your stomach actually comes from. We all know that inner voice, right? The one that just loves to spin all those what-if scenarios and paint these horrible worst-case pictures. We're taught to think that's the enemy. But what if that voice is only like half the story? What if our thoughts are just the spark, and something else is the fuel that turns it into a raging fire? And this brings us to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. It's not the first thought that pops in your head, but our focused attention, our gaze, that actually blows up the fear and gives it all its power over us. So, for instance, the source tells this story about the author being at a party, and there's this big Akita dog there. The first thought was simple. Wow, that's a big dog. But the fear? That didn't kick in until he started staring at it, just focusing on its size, projecting all this danger onto it. The dog was just, being a dog. But his gaze, his focused attention, is what turned it into a threat. Okay, now let's look at a different story. One that might feel a little more familiar to you. Let's imagine Sophie. She's a super successful project manager, and by all the numbers, she just hit her latest project out of the park. Her team's celebrating, the goals were met. It's a clear win. And this is the paradox, right? Even with all this obvious success, Sophie is just drowning in anxiety. So what's happening? If the project was a success, where is all this fear coming from? And this slide just illustrates the whole thing perfectly. Look at this. On the left, you've got the objective reality. The project was a smash hit, 9 positive comments, goals achieved, teams happy. But then look at the right. That's Sophie's gaze. Her focus zoomed in on that one single negative comment, and that one comment became her entire reality, just feeding her fear of failure. So here's the absolute key. The facts didn't create Sophie's anxiety. Her laser-like focus on that one negative detail did. She chose, probably without even realizing it, to stare at the shadow instead of all the light. Her gaze literally created the fear. Okay, so if our gaze creates the fear, well, the good news is we actually have control over our gaze. And this isn't just some nice-sounding idea. It's actually baked into the way our brains are built. So deep inside our brain, we have this thing called the amygdala. The best way to think of it is as your brain's smoke detector. It is lightning fast, and its whole job is to scream, danger, without even thinking. It's that primitive survival instinct. But we also have the prefrontal cortex. Now, this is the more evolved part of our brain. This is the control tower. It's in charge of logic, reason, and, most importantly, making conscious decisions. This is where you get to be the pilot. And what's so cool is how these two parts talk to each other. When that smoke detector, the amygdala, starts blaring, the prefrontal cortex can step in. By consciously choosing to shift your focus, to look at the 9 good comments instead of the 1 bad one, your control tower sends a message down to your alarm system that says, hey, stand down, we're okay. You are literally actively training your own brain. And, this whole idea, this connection between our focus and our inner world, it's not some new discovery. In fact, this modern neuroscience lines up beautifully with wisdom that's thousands of years old. Take this verse from the Bible. It uses the eye as this powerful metaphor for our focus, our gaze. It's basically saying that what we choose to look at determines the state of our entire being. If our focus is pure, if we're looking for the good, the true, the positive, our whole body, our whole life will feel full of light. But if we fixate on the negative, our inner world just gets dark. It's the exact same principle. So now that we get the what and the why, let's get really practical. How do we actually do this when we're in the middle of feeling that fear? Well, the source lays out a really simple 5-step process you can use. Okay, here we go. Step 1, recognize the trigger. You have to know what you're staring at. Is it an email, a person's face, a memory? Just name it. Step 2, shift your gaze. This is the big move. You have to deliberately look away from the problem and towards something else, a solution, a strength you have, anything positive. Step 3, speak the new voice. You need to lock in this new focus with a simple phrase, something like, I am safe, or I choose peace. Say it out loud or in your head. Step 4, create distance. If you feel really stuck, move your body. Get up, look at a plant across the room. This physically breaks the hypnotic spell of fear. And finally, step 5, visualize the result. Just take 10 seconds and imagine feeling calm and in control. You're showing your brain what the new goal feels like. And practicing this isn't just about feeling a little less anxious in the moment. According to the source, when you really master your gaze, you unlock something way, way deeper. The promise here is really twofold. First, you find your freedom. You stop being a puppet, jerked around by your fears and whatever's happening outside of you. And second, by clearing out all that noise from anxiety, you create the mental space and the clarity you need to connect with your deeper purpose. What the source calls your calling. So, when it all comes down to it, it's the simple but profound truth. You can't always control the thoughts that pop into your head. You can't always control your circumstances. But you can always, always choose where you direct your attention. That is your power. So, as you head into the rest of your day, I'll just leave you with this one question. The next time you feel that stress or worry starting to build, where will you choose to look? Because the answer could change everything.